I mean, I've been listening to dance music, of course, all the time because I like to go to clubs. I mean, not that much anymore, but it certainly was a very important part of my weekly routine is going to the clubs here in Berlin in the 90s, of course. And so I'm influenced by listening to drum and bass and dancing to it. And I'm influenced by the minimal techno of the 90s. And yes, I'm influenced by dubstep. It's all very obvious. But at the same time, if I like this kind of music, then it's very likely that I like it because of a specific sound design or a specific way of dealing with time or a specific atmosphere, and not because it's dance music. So when I listen to, let's say, old Photech records, then what strikes me is the sound design and the way he's dealing with rhythm. And it's not necessarily, for me, important as dance music. It's important to me as interesting sounding music. And tools for the dance floor is certainly nothing I'm interested in. Which by no means mean that it's bad to make tools for the dance floor. There's people who make fantastic dance floor tools and music which works extremely well, also for listening purposes. It's just not what I'm interested in. What I found interesting was that for the first releases were on chain reaction, and therefore there was a strong association with this basic channel Berlin minimal groove. And I never found that that we at this point in time really did fit in there. We certainly were influenced in a way, but it was not the same. And then the first Monolake album, Hong Kong, kind of had a similar color in a way, which I can understand, makes sense. And then we departed from this and made the Interstate album, which was much more, had a totally different sonic palette and was much more inspired by Autechre, Aphex Twin and drum and bass at this time, sonically and color-wise. And there were so many people who were pissed off with that. Because I remember one review which started with the headline, Monolake shifted one gear down. And I thought, what the fuck? This CD is so much more complex and so much more rich in timbre and so much more sophisticated in a lot of ways than Hong Kong. It's just a very different sounding CD. And I mean, in retrospective, I understand why people like Hong Kong so much. I like it too. But I was just surprised how quick it goes that people define yourself as this is the artist, and then you are trapped in this cage. And that was a strange experience, that people really very quickly make up their own mind of what you are as an artist, and then you have to deliver. You can't just suddenly change, that's especially press people can react very weirdly in a way. I was surprised by that because I thought, hey, first of all, it's not so important. It's just music, which we are all doing minority music for just a very tiny fraction of music lovers on this planet. So if I change from one CD to the other to something else, come on, relax. It's just a Monolake CD. It's not Madonna doing suddenly punk or I don't know,
dance music.
or releasing an industrial noise drone CD, with no vocals. I would buy it, maybe.
Probably more.
I studied sound engineering at a film school. So my idea of sound is really much something is happening there, 5 kilometers away, something is approaching and is moving to the right side. And I just like if music has this cinematic quality, and therefore a mono system really doesn't my idea of sound justice. Well, let's put it this way, there is a certain kind of physical experience which you can only have in a concert situation, and I believe that the concert situation should be able to provide that. So I'm not worried about the quality of a sound system in terms of high fidelity so much, but I find it important that it's possible to experience electronic music in a powerful way. Yeah, so I really enjoy it if there's the ability to create massive bass, because it's a very important physical quality and it's a unique experience. And I think, you know, we have a situation now where music is for free for everyone. And what makes a live performance special is the fact that you can hear music in a context and in a way you cannot experience it at home. And this is why I really think having a big sound system makes an impact. I mean, you know, remember when you were young and when you were going to concerts of your big heroes, the fact that you hear is the sound of the songs you already know over a gigantic tower of speakers together with a lot of other people makes all the difference of the world. If the same band would play over 2 small home stereo speakers, you know,
Yep.
it would be very different.
Yep.
So in this regard, I believe there is a difference. But if the club has a function 1 or a Meyer sound or whatever, there I think we enter in this whole world of taste and of marketing. Every PA can sound good in a way if it's well adjusted. And I also think that in a small space you don't need a really big PA, but then it must be clear that it's a small intimate space and then you need to adapt the music. If it's a small space, then I would rather want the people not to dance but sit down, and then I focus on the details in the music, and then a small PA is fine too. But dancing is a physical activity and then I want to have the impact. I had this discussion just recently with a good friend of mine. I like the culture of the chill-out room. I think I would go much more often to clubs these days if there would be still the chill-out rooms, because as a matter of fact, I remember the chill-out room was always the perfect occasion to discover new music and to discover it together with other people. Because in the chill-out room, the people always played the interesting stuff which was not 100% compatible with the main floor. So there was the pumping drum and bass in the main floor, and then you went to the chill-out room and suddenly you heard a new Biosphere or Aphex Twin or whatever, you know, and suddenly you had this group experience of listening to a new record, and what's that? Oh, it's S&D. Interesting. You know, there's. I really think it's a sad development, because as I said, I clearly remember these days where I spent maybe 50% in the main room dancing and 50% at the chill out space talking to people. And also as a social experiment, I mean, it's so fantastic if you meet someone on the dance floor and you can go with this person to the chill out room, or you can be in the chill out room with your friends and at some point decide, yeah, let's go dancing. It's so much more communication. And as far as the consumption of drinks is concerned, in the clubs in Berlin, which I really liked, there was always the chill out room right to the bar. So as a matter of fact, this was a perfect combination. You went to the bar, you had your drink, you talked to people, and afterwards you went back to dancing. Yeah. I mean, it makes all sense of the world. Yeah. And also it makes sense as a last but I think still important point. It also makes sense for the bar personnel, because they don't have to shout over pumping loud music all the time. So just from a workers' rights perspective, if the bar is located in the chill out area, that's fine.